If you look at problem 131, it's related to lateral resolution. Even just by identifying the most relevant keyword, you can easily choose the correct answer. The correct answer would be choice C. Yes, the more you increase the number of focal zones, the better the lateral resolution becomes. Now, moving on, let's look at problem 132. This problem also follows a pattern that appears frequently on exams. We're examining the gallbladder, and a small hypoechoic object has been observed. It's likely that we can suspect gallstones. However, it is explained that no shadowing is seen behind it. This question asks which adjustment would allow you to observe the shadowing behind it more clearly. The correct answer is choice B. If you increase the frequency, you can expose the shadowing behind it more clearly. Keep this in mind as you review this problem. Next, let's move on and look at question number 133. Looking at the question, it asks what kind of change occurs when an electric signal is applied to a piezoelectric material. There's no need to think too deeply, just memorize the relevant content while looking at the related choices. The correct answer is choice B. So, you can summarize that the expansion and contraction are the changes that occur when an electric signal is applied to this piezoelectric element. Let's move on and look at the next question. The sentence is explained in detail at length. If we interpret it step by step, it says that some aspect is being evaluated using a tissue-equivalent phantom. It is further described that such structures are embedded inside the tissue-equivalent phantom. You can think of it as round cystic structures inside a square phantom. This question asks you to identify which aspect of resolution can be evaluated using this kind of phantom. The correct answer is choice D. With this phantom, you can evaluate how clearly the cystic structures inside are visualized. So if the internal structures are seen clearly, it means the resolution is that much better. If these areas are not fully depicted and appear dark or unclear in the deeper regions, it indicates that the elevation resolution or slice thickness resolution is poor. We will cover this again in the sections on artifacts and quality control, so I will explain it further at that time. If a phantom like this is mentioned, just remember that it is related to this aspect. Let's move on and look at the next topic. We'll skip number 135 because there are errors in both the question and the explanation. Let's solve question 136. This is a pattern we've solved several times in previous lectures. This question asks you to choose the option related to a transducer that decreases slice thickness. There was one thing that didn't go well between the two. The correct answer is to select option A. If you just know this concept, you could easily solve several questions in the main text as well. So make sure to organize this content well. Now let's look at question 137. We'll skip question 137 because it overlaps with question 55. The correct answer is interference. It's when two things combine. Let's look at question 138 right below. This question is related to the structure of the transducer. You could say it's important. This question asks you to choose the option related to the matching layer or coupling layer between the piezoelectric element and the skin. The correct answer would be option C. The characteristic of the coupling layer is that it acts as a bridge by reducing the difference in acoustic impedance between the piezoelectric element and the tissue. In addition, since all matters related to the structure of the probe are important, I want to emphasize that it is essential to solve related questions. Next, let's move on and look at question number 139. This is a question related to focusing. The question asks you to choose the option related to receive focusing. There are mainly two types. There is transmit focusing and receive focusing. In the case of transmit focusing, it is a method that induces focusing by applying a delay when sending the signal initially. For receive focusing, the difference is that the returning signals are received sequentially to achieve focusing. So in the context, you should look for expressions that indicate sending first and then receiving the returning signals later. Therefore, you can choose option D as the correct answer. This method detects the returning echo by applying a delay to the subsequent lines after the signal has gone out and come back. You should note through solving the problem that these types of sentence expressions are related to receive focusing. Next, let's move on and look at question number 140. If you look at the question, you'll see the term frequency bandwidth. When you encounter this term, the first thing you should remember is to recall the difference between a narrow and a wide bandwidth. A narrow bandwidth can be considered as high Q. This means it has a high Q factor. Conversely, a wide bandwidth can be considered as low Q with a small Q value. So this is a question about choosing the value that represents these characteristics. As I just explained with the diagram, the Q factor can be used to describe the bandwidth here. So for this question, you can select the Q value as the correct answer.